Awesome. All right.
We are now, in fact, live. Welcome, friends. Welcome, people of reality, to a very special moment in reality, the musical festival, but also welcome to the Nonsensus podcast. I am Zakery Winchester, a nonsense man, and I am here with Mark Zimmerman and the Tea Fairie
herself.
And we are going to be talking about some special stuff. And I would like to say that this is not my I don't want to say normal voice, but I have augmented my my speech to deal with. I lost my voice.
And we also just talked different night.
Well, what we mean by normal speak? What's a normal speak? The way you speak knee-jerkingly? I feel like everybody's kind of that has a candle that is their soul that is glowing through a dead husk with human face-shaped holes that is the jack-o'-lantern of our personality or character archetype that we present in this world.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. So what do you mean by talk normal?
Talking how you usually do.
And Mark, how you usually be talking?
Too fast and sloppy, so this time I'm going to try to slow down. Probably going to fail.
Normally sound like pretty normal.
You got to get real close to the microphone there, fella.
Get real close to the microphone.
Normally sound like pretty
This
normal
close.
feller, but today I think we're putting on our fancy pants and different voices to sound
Fancy
like
pants.
abnormal fellers.
Yeah, so let's get right into talking about some abnormal stuff. This will be an abnormal podcast. We're sharing. We got 2 dicks, 3 folks. So we're sharing microphones. So
you don't know what I got in my pants.
There's going to be these moments where we got to, I thought the metaphor was
I got
obvious.
A spirit talk that is fantastic, but it is in fact not physically manifested.
There's going to be these moments where we gotta share the talking stick, as it were. But let's get right into it. All 3 of us just are now on the other side of what some say is supposed to be like an ordeal ritual.
What, Enthio Fest?
Nah, that too. Well, it was sunny.
Yeah.
It
I had
was,
to give it talk. You wrote it in the car on the way there.
I will ask you get a little closer on that there microphone.
How about that?
Yep, just about as close.
Oh, you mean that thing in the desert?
Yeah, that one. Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. Burning Man.
Mm-hmm.
Burning Man.
Yep.
And I feel like that. I think it's appropriate to speak on that first because the relatability is something that's important.
Yeah.
And there are thousands of individuals who are in a similar situation as of us that have lost their voices, minds.
Yep.
That one fucked me up.
Burning Man, she didn't work me over.
Yeah, and it's almost as similar as we're talking in this vein of psychedelics, and sometimes a psychedelic experience, or as they say, a plant or entheogenic medicine experience, sort of thing, can be putting you through the wheelhouse, sort of thing, right?
Well, no, it's fun, and I had fun at Burning Man. Don't get me wrong, because I'm good at having fun, and I always do fun. But this would be my 23rd year. I almost got a year on the play if you added up 2 weeks at a time, and this is the hardest time that I have ever had. Which is saying something. And it was, I had more fun every single day on the playa than I had any day of the pandemic. That's it.
The what?
What the?
If I'm just tuning in and it's 2073 and I don't keep up.
I had more fun on the playa than I would sitting around in my apartment. Right.
Oh.
But I mean, it was working, man. It was pretty tough and it was janky. And I know a lot of superheroes who had a rough time. Like a wind whipped through that thing. That's literal wind that spun a lot of people unexpected.
Right round, like it's right round. But what do you think about this idea that it's supposed to be hard?
Suppose requires who's doing the suppose.
Who's doing that?
I suppose it should be hard in the sense that it's kind of a deal, Rich, but I don't want to not cry on the play. I feel like I'm phoning it in.
See, I feel like that's one thing that my experience lacked is I did not cathartic. I came up with the words last night when we were talking. I think that what fucked my burn this year, however, I'm very, very grateful. And I will check thy whiny brattage at the door. I'm being a fucking whiny brat.
We're going to get to gratitude. That's all right.
Oh yeah, there's gratitude, but also on the other side, just a little bit on the other side of any experience where there's adjustments to be made, I'm always hyper aware of what went wrong because that's the stuff that I can fix, and I'm no longer judgy, shamey, self-flagellating myself for how that is a mechanism of you could say growth, or just it makes sense as a biological creature trying to survive. You the next time you go to the cat nest, you got better shook and jiving skills because you know what went wrong the other time. But fucking this year, yeah, the words I came with last night that are like really, I came with the expectation of catharsis, and what I got was a diagnosis.
I came not thinking I had a lot of expectation, and it turned out that I did.
Same.
And it just wanted to show me something about my expectation. I just had this coming. I deserve this. It's been 3 years. I didn't go to the Renegades. I built it up. I had all this catharsis to cathart. I had all the people I had to see. I wanted to ride around the playa like on a luck dragon. Dun, 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 the fireworks going off over my head. And that's what I expected to happen. If that didn't be what happened, then I was going to be disappointed.
Oh man, I remember talking to this lovely person. One of my first burns. She said she was like, when the man burned, I was how you say appointed, and I was like, appointed, like oh, like you did perimeter, or you did like what job are you? No, she.
You have been appointed.
She says like you say in English, disappointed. I was not. But with disappointment, and you mentioned the Renegade thing. I wanted to ask you, Mark Zimmerman, for how was your latest burn TM, and then you experienced the Renegade burn? How was it that in 2021?
Yeah. So I went to the Renegade in 2021 and was a part of a really wonderful camp. We all knew one person that organized it, but didn't know each other. Those people came from all over the world, and we put together a camp with a little hobbled together infrastructure from all over the place. And it was a really fun experience. It was kind of low effort compared to, normally doing the big burn and organizing a big camp and everything. But we still brought some art. We still brought a little bar to share, and brought a few other things to contribute to the chaos. And it was wonderful. It was neat too, because everyone was real spread out. There was different rules. You could not really do anything with fire, but you certainly could ride a dirt bike to the hot springs naked if you wanted to. The this year's burn though was quite the opposite. It was a lot of work, and it was very hot, and there was a lot of setbacks, and we overcame pretty much all of those setbacks, but not without a lot of work. My goodness. And unfortunately, we left a few things on the side of the road on the way back here. Not our garbage, but our truck. It'll be back soon though. And it's a learning experience, and this is the first year for me coming back from the big burn, thinking not, oh man, I'm so excited to go next year. Here's what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do differently. I came back thinking, yeah, I'll be there next year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, before we get to the gratitude, I would like to do a little bit more being a whiny fucking brat and aware of it.
Bitch, man.
No, but really, that thing, I don't care to have experiences that only give lessons that then give me the opportunity to make adjustments for fucking Burning Man next year, or festivals in general, or anything. It's like these are life lessons, and if not, then I'm done. I'd stop going to Burning Man. If there's things that I learned at Burning Man that are only applicable for a week of my life in a very specific place, then fuck it. But I don't, there are little parables and little lessons. And the thing about expectations and the FOMO as opposed to JOMO, fear of missing out versus joy of missing out. Like
what's JOMO? Tell me, do back, pop.
Like that's it. I mean, I'm a big time sufferer of the fear of the missing out.
Right.
That's why I have failed to go to sleeping. And I say it's not the noise. I'm not a light sleeper. We camped next to the bad music dinosaur once. This was a little art card. It was a dinosaur made out of garbage that would play an intentionally obnoxious dubstep, and just like the worst top 40, and like the things where it's like, this is classless, and the provider of this gift to the playa knew this is bad music that I hate. That's bad. And not that there's not classy dubstep, but this was like really, really bad music.
Just sound like robots farting and fucking
loudly on purpose to upset. It was meant to be upsetting, and it was camped right next to us. And I have trouble going to Sleeping Man, which is very important, which is sleeping at Burning Man property, because there's the knowing that there's so many fleeting and super opportunities that do not happen in a usual moment in usual world life.
I try to get 6 out of 24 if I can. Try to get like at least a 3-hour day nap and a 3-hour night nap in. Don't always make it, but most of the time. For the long haul, you got to do it.
Yeah, sleep.
Sleep.
Hey, that's a life lesson that's applicable to life. You gotta fucking sleep or you go insane and die. Like you really, and the way I like that you called it sleep hygiene. Yeah, that's it. It's mental hygiene for sure. Because getting too much buildup of not sleep mucky goo on my brain, I become, and I've experienced this numerous times before, but this year I fucked up again at the end of the week, where it was like, oh, it's a beautiful sunrise. What a beautiful moment. Such lovely people and I can't care. I feel none of it. And there's no.
Oh, God. It's even happening. This is it. This is the scene.
And I can't feel any of it.
Ow.
But I still smiled. I smiled at them. And so I'll bring my whiny, bratty bitching to a thing. But as I said, of the life lessons that.
No, yeah, pop dinosaurs.
Expectations and stuff like that. They are, I mean, it is a constant, like, I mean, we go right into like ego death. Death, where it's like, oh, what part of you wants me to know that you had an ego death, brother?
Oh, yeah, and the undead zombie ego arises from the grave and presides over the wake in a bit of acute egomania.
You know, I really think unless you have completely forgotten who you are, it is not in fact ego death. It's just sparkling disassociation.
Yeah. It's a flash, you know, like the DMT flash of what it would be to not be perceiving the world through the interface of a me. But then, I mean, one of the reasons why I enjoy the ego death, let's call it an ego snoozle. Let's call it a little
ego nap. I'm gonna take a little ego nap, like a disco nap. Just gonna take it.
Is watching the world go from what it is when you observe it and absorb it as part of it back to being little old me. Like watching those systems come back online and see how they are the root of all boredom and desire and so many things that make being in reality the musical the festival not as enjoyable sometimes, being in my own little poor little me bubble. Watching those systems come back online from a tiny little moment of pseudo egolessness is educational.
The center of the target, as far as I'm concerned, is we don't know anything about that. What I remember is like, I just had the real thing. No, really. I remember that experience very vividly. But what I was talking about, you ain't there to talk about it. So
you ain't there. You ain't the one.
There ain't no film the camera. Like, if you're there going, oh boy, I'm having it right now, that ain't it.
Wait, it's like you ain't the one doing the supposed to like the supposing. Yeah. Yep. So if you ain't the one, so who does the supposed to's of my life? And I used to be big into trying to I thought I was big into trying to move the needle in some way, lots of people, society.
Like get on the leaderboards in the video game. I'm supposed to be
helping in some way, but then everything became about if I had a platform, then I could be helpful. But the effort to get a platform involves a level of strategizing that seems dishonest to me. And the thing that I'm trying to arrive at and move the needle is towards sincerity and honesty. So I have to be dishonest in order to get to the point where I can be preachy about sincerity. Maybe I'm just don't be preachy at all and just fucking live my life. Anyway, now I'm very much more oriented. I'm trying to live a nice little life, and when the moment in the brain chemistry and the situation is right, then like a Burning Man, then you can go and do so and be very inviting of others and go and make a ruckus sort of thing. But I no longer think in that way of anyone else's supposed to. But it got real obvious to me at Burning Man. I wanted catharsis. I got diagnosis. There's a lot of supposed to's in my head that I know they come from me.
Where you think they come from? Culture, society, a girlfriend, the what?
All the above maybe, but also it's like some of them are me,
Mhm.
for sure. Some of them are me. Some of them are the looping of like there's this idea epigenetic trauma, but also epigenetic because if there's a trauma, then there's an opposite thing. There's like you might have the bend of optimistic, positive bends, right? Not everything. So all that stuff's going on, but it's like what's still relevant. I noticed the it's not just the survivalism. I don't feel like I have a ton of that. Thank fucking God. Super grateful for that. But certain metrics by which I weigh my not just worth, but I'm just trying to have fun now. We're about to die soon,
Supposed to see me and Burning Dan had this worked out because
You and who?
Burning Dan, my child, passed away in 2010. Epic superhero.
Burning Dan, epic superhero, best I ever seen. And we figured that we had a ritual. There's things that we're supposed to do, supposed by ourselves. We suppose that we're going to do them when we were committed to do them. And they are few and they are simple. But we had to see every sunrise. We had to spin fire every 24 hours. And when you spin fire, you reset the clock. And we had to get pancakes every day. And that's it. And because you need enough of a ritual to keep you going around so that you don't just get all jelly. We got to wake up at sunrise. But then when people say, oh, you got to go to this, you got to do that, you got to go out to the Mayan Warrior, you got to see my art piece. No, we don't. We got to see every sunrise. We got to have pancakes every day. And we got to spin fire every 24 hours and everything else is gravy. But that is a religious ritual. But so it's not so much what I was supposed to do, but when your timing belt is off, right? And it's like, it's not just that I didn't go dance at that club, right? Or I didn't see that piece of art up close that I saw in the distance. It's that like, I didn't see my friend come by for 15 minutes and I was busy building the thing and I didn't hang out with my friend then. And I said, I'll hang out with you later in the week. And then I didn't catch him, right? Like that kind of thing, like timing belt not broken, but just slightly out of alignment. So it was enough that I saw all the missions and I tagged the things and I could check the check mark if I had to, but it was just not quite like Burning Man's a flow thing for me. I'm amazing. I can just I go this way, I'll turn around and go the other way. I'm always right under the fireworks when I right at that piece of artwork my friend does. I know the things you don't find people by looking for them. Yeah.
Right. But I messed up. I thought, well, all right, I'm going to stay in my camp because I know they're looking for me. That's the same thing. You stay in the camp because you want to find them because they think they're looking for you. That's the same as going out trying to find somebody.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Like it was just stupid shit like that.
Yeah.
Like, the one pancake though, I went out to get it. It's a good lesson. You talk about the lessons that you get. It was almost noon. Pancake Playhouse was going to close. I have to get pancakes. The night before, I got some girl to make me latkes at 10 o'clock at night, and I counted it. Because I told
Were
that I
they
needed
thick and
they're
girthy?
thick and juicy.
Gosh.
And she grated up the taters for me. I said, I need a pancake, Les Jane. Like, you're my last hope, right? But so I was packing up my stuff, and I was tweaking through all my pockets, like, you're just out of flow, and I didn't have my carabiner, and now I didn't have my bottle, and what did I do with my other piece? Now I can't find my bike lock. That's the kind of thing. That's the kind of thing that should not be like that, right?
Yeah.
And it's out of practice, maybe rusty.
Yeah.
And so I get on the thing and I start riding on the Esplanade, and there's this lady standing there. And she's just like a lady in her 50s, looked like a suburban housewife. Maybe it's not a bit. She's maybe new to Burning Man. She's just like, she wants to do something. She's gifting something. She's got a plate of waffles. And she had whipped cream on it. She said, hey, do you want a waffle? And I was like, no, I don't want your waffles. I've got to get pancakes. And I'm driving my bike, and I suddenly realized that was it. And I actually skidded my bike around. I fell on the ply, and I came back just to myself, and I said, ma'am, I would love to have a pancake, please. I mean, not a pancake. I said, waffle. This is pancakes. I'm sorry. Let me explain this to you, ma'am. And I took a bite of it. I said, this is transmuted pancake, and I have it. And I put it in my mouth, and I said, there it was. I got the point. And then I thought, I'm going to make it to Pancake Playhouse anyway. And I jumped on my bike, ran over there. No, of course I didn't make it. It was a complete shit show of a mission to Pancake Playhouse. I knew I wasn't going to make it. But I thought I could still do it anyway somehow, right? But do not pass up the waffle when you're looking for pancakes. If it's handed to you, don't pass it up. And once you get it, just know that you got it. You don't got to run that mission. You already got it. You got it in your hand, right? And that's the kind of stuff that's usually really instinctive to me. And like I said, I caught that one on the edge. I'm like, you got to remember this. You got to remember this. You done right. You done right. You saved up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it'd be great dishonor me my family 7 generations if I didn't get a pancake.
Yeah, that's I call it going to Trying Man. I've gotten way more practice and attuned to knowing like
God,
that's what you're
trying
doing
is so
right now.
trying.
Struggle man. You go to struggle man, and this year a couple of times I went to straight up failing man, like where it's like I not only have I recognized that I am trying, but and then when we realize one is at trying man and or accepting that one is at failing man, that would be an awesome time to go to sleep. But enough of whining and bitching of how things. There are things that went very, very well this year, and that's that Burning Man shows you. I like that you say that it accelerates process.
No, I see. Did you get one lesson? Do you remember? Did you get any lessons from like just somewhere you got it right or wrong, and you're like, "Yep, I need to keep that."
Yeah, really. The lesson of just following your instinct, following what feels right out there, rather than trying to do the thing that you think is right. What felt right was abandoning strike on Sunday to take a steam bath, and I was.
You didn't need to admit that.
I was able
Don't
to come
tell
back.
me that you did not strike your camp. You just took
No,
a
I
break.
did. I took a 30-minute break, and I came
That's
back
right.
and worked even harder. But man, the pain of making that decision was far greater than it needed to be. And now I look back and realize that was of my own doing.
Right.
Yeah, but better to beg for forgiveness and ask permission is huge. I've learned that a bunch of times. But also sometimes that's a major league dick move. But there's sometimes
you can't just
where
fuck
it's
off strike. I mean, unless you really can't do it because nobility demands that we set a good example for the children and etc. And also somebody got to take this shit down, right?
For those just tuning in who are not familiar with the jargon of the Burning Man, is strike is the taking down of stuff that was put up.
And it's the same 6 motherfuckers take that down as put it up. Because we already loaded on the truck, then we loaded off the truck, then we put the whole thing up with a third of us that we normally would be there. And then, we ran it the whole week. And then we said, take that stuff back down and put it on the truck. And then we had to offload it off the truck again. That's what it is to be a superhero. My arm still hurt.
Man, I'll tell you just briefly how I fucked up on strike is I fucking got my bicycle stolen. I'm gonna blame the bicycle thief. I should have been more self-aware. There's a bunch of ways in which I know I should be more fucking self-aware and socially aware. But my bike was stolen, and in the most ruthless way, when I was like late for a performance at Center Camp, or just like on time, which is late. And so I go pedal real fast. And there's one time I didn't lock my bike at Center Camp, one of the few bikes, that were there at that moment. And it got stolen as I was fucking performing, giving my gift to the
worst kind of thieves
and,
in the world.
And yeah, and that was a tremendous moment of like, oh, fuck, it's gone. And then, fucking the anger of like, God, who the fuck? And then just the sadness.
Oh, and
if
you get mad about it, it gets worse. Like if you don't have a sense of humor about the chicks' little pranks out there, it's like as soon as you get resenting it, you get mad at it, you're mad at the ply. You can't fight the ply.
Yeah.
You gotta go, oh, you got me again, ply.
No.
I was gonna lock my bike.
Oh, that was his name, huh? Playa.
Playa, the bike thief.
Playa Fredrickson.
No, fuck that kid. Don't even fuck that kid. That kid don't deserve being
Nebraska.
No.
Jesus. Anyway, so you accept that I accept you don't have a bike. I said I was going to keep this short. I ended up being, and this is a great thing, not a whiny little fuck for that. I thought that I was borrowed a bike or two. There was several bikes that were kind of given to me with responsibility of taking them home, and I thought it was just you may ride this. And so on Sunday, having to, you got to take apart the bikes and you got to do all the and the screws
you load them
were
on the
stripped.
truck, you mean?
Yeah, the screws were stripped, and my brain was broken, and most of the time of breaking down. Yeah, so there was just this utter because in 2019, I remember my biggest fuck up that I wanted to adjust was not going to Sleeping Man enough that when Sunday night, which is actually my favorite night at Burning Man, my favorite night. I love the vibes on Sunday, and I love that a lot. I do love Woohoo Party for sure.
Thursday night, my favorite night.
Yeah, that can be super great. I mean, I guess I just don't have a favorite. I mean, because I love commotion and stuff like that, but I do love is just those who remain tend to be there's a softness and a gentleness. And I love fucking rowdy ridiculous, but there's just anyway. So I missed the night where
I sitting there working the bikes apart.
Oh, well, I was just what I mentioned Sunday is I wanted to correct the thing and get proper sleep so that I was able to enjoy Manburn and Temple Night more. And so this year is it's Temple Night and I'm going to try to enjoy it. Come here. And then Monday morning cometh And
I could
I
do.
had all these bikes to fucking take, and I should have just known that. I should have been aware that it's like somebody gave you a bike, you got to do with that, as opposed to that. But done fucked up, and I was all fucking apologetic about it. And here's the thing: the etch a sketch of life.
Were you under time pressure to do it? Or
Well, yeah, a bit. But I'm also, this thing happens at Burning Man, just in general. I tend to like be neurotically considerate, but sometimes even sometimes there's a very
until you're not.
there's a very egoic thing going on in it too, because you think that you're fucking up is very noticeable when there's all these people and nobody's fucking thinking about you unless you're inconveniencing them. And in this moment, there was a moment
They're
where
not
somebody
paying
had to
attention
help
to
me
the
take a
person
bike
literally
apart.
on fire next to them, right? Like there's so overstimulating that they don't notice you unless
Unless it's their job of
Yeah.
like you're the person who's supposed to look
Right.
out for people on
Yeah.
fire, sort of shit.
Yeah.
Which have you
I'm
ever
not
been?
the burning on fire guy. I mean, like the art that looks like a burning on fire guy. Like, there could be so much weird stuff. The weirdest thing you ever seen is like you could throw a frisbee to it and you're like, oh yeah.
Have you ever been fire safety and had to do something?
Yeah. I mean, just put out a kid's pants leg or something.
That's-
Not like no damage, But I've definitely like keep your eye on the ball because like your ass on fire.
Oh, yeah.
Whip it like.
I think most of
Like
my
a top.
experiences have been lunging. We're talking about when you want one is spinning fire as a performance, fun and make beauty thing. There is someone holding a towel, preferably wet or dubatine, and your job as the fire safety is if they are on fire to go and put out the part of them that is on fire, or to
Or just
verbally
tell
alert
them
them.
and they
Hair,
leg,
leg.
soul's on fire.
Usually what I experience is the moment of lunging to go put it out, and then they put it out themselves.
Yeah, pretty much. Unless they can't see it.
But I watched somebody's hair burn for like 3.7 seconds on a bull named Fu Manchu at the last fire festival, Great Lakes Float Festival, which is tremendous. How's you just coming to that? That's the Michigan.
I've seen a couple people cut their beard on fire with it blown. They had too much already. Oh, but it was too late by the time they. I mean, they
You
didn't burn the face
spit
off,
fire, don't you, Zimmerman? That is not as in rapping bars, but like.
I certainly do. Was taught by a dear friend a few years ago, and it is just such a fucking fun trick to do, man. Shooting fireballs out of your mouth into the air.
I did it until I got the picture that I wanted to get, which was a fireball is bigger than my body coming out of my mouth. And that was probably about enough for me because I don't know how good for it is. And I used to practice with rubbing alcohol so it didn't actually burn you. That's really really intense. But the actual, the virgin oil that you use, it doesn't taste like gasoline.
It tastes like nothing
at all.
It's
You
like
could swallow it on
nothing.
accident, and that would be a big
the
mistake.
Taste of gasoline.
You don't.
Of extra virgin
You don't,
lamp oil,
Gunther
yes, I did.
Mogdale.
It tastes like thick water.
Thick water.
Yeah, you gotta remember not to swallow
Thick
that.
water.
You put the fuel in your mouth now. It's kind of a joke. It means you gotta stand around another 15 minutes.
So enough about that Burning
Yep,
Man
yep,
shit. We can still orbit the thing. But no, but there was supposed to be gratitude thing.
I am
You
infinitely
got it.
grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm completely grateful. There, any day, I think of myself, past and future selves, lonely selves during the pestilence. 80-year-old self, future. I have a great relationship with my past and future selves. And if my 80-year-old selves, I picture in some nice nursing home somewhere in the far future. Well, I guess not that far if I'm only 80. But like if I were made immobile or something like that, and I could just go back to one day of Burning Man 2022 and just take those bikes apart, what would I do to have the opportunity to just go and take those bikes apart today? Please, I would. All the furniture in my house, you could have it. If I could just be there putting up with my co-leads bullshit and sorting it so that because they're scaring the virgins and I got to, emotional labor and et cetera, please, God, can I just do that for one day?
Yeah.
For one day. I just make tears right now that like what I would trade to go back and have a shitty time at Burning Man for one freaking day. If that was not a thing that was available to me. If you lost your health, if that thing stops happening, if it turns into, the future might get worse before it gets better. Like we are in the time where there is that. And like you can only compare it to other times at Burning Man and your expectation. It's still better than, I said, sitting around and scratching your balls watching South Park at home. And there's a lot of people that would be happy to trade places with you and would, be like, yo, you whining about Burning Man? Why don't you give me your ticket? Because, so we got a lot of gratitude.
Yeah. I'm so grateful to be able to experience that thing. And I'm super grateful for this year. It is better if one is living an entire life to instead of having a peak experience for 7 days out in a remote place where one only goes annually, Some of us go there more than annually, but to have this peak experience that then there's the post-playa depression of returning to your normal life, or as they say, the default world. I don't say that, but some
I'll
folks
say
call it the default world. And then having this comparison that is depressing, as in like, oh, it'll never be that. Instead, what I got this year was the many vivid lessons. I know exactly what I must do, which afterwards I'm just regarding. If you talk to me 2 weeks from now, I'll have way more positive to say, but my brain does do this thing. I'm very aware of what went wrong, because that's what I can fix. And I am so grateful for second chances, which this really showed me too. It's like, and you get another shot.
Yeah, hopefully we're gonna get to do it.
Well,
again.
to exist, just another
sure.
day,
Yeah,
another day.
Yep. Sunrise again.
Because the goal for me has been for a long time is like when you got, and I forgot about this, and this is why I think it was one of the factors of a lot of people having a rough burn, and just it being a really particular time was 2 years without. Those of us who try to go this thing every goddamn year, fucking 2 years without you. Yeah, you had expectations.
I had a pent-up need to just have my soul bursting out of my chest. But every single day, I had conversation. I had a great time at my camp. I just never left my camp. I kept meaning to, and there was stuff to do, and I never got out. But like, I sat there on my frontage on the Esplanade. I live on the Esplanade. I'm sitting there doing a tea ceremony in the morning, my little cups of tea, and talking shit and heckling the people driving by, and it was wonderful. I had wonderful conversations with my friends. I got to hug my friends. I had 18 months where I saw 2 people. And then I got to hug my friends on a day when I had hugged 7 of my friends and sat up laughing, having funny conversations, spending fire in the morning and laying on the stage and laughing. I was bitching about how much this sucks. Like, this is not first world problems. You know what I mean? Like, this is perfect world problems. You get perfect world problems.
Oh, yeah. These are what they say, champagne problems. Luxury ordeals.
I live in a perfect world and I get perfect world problems. And I mean, I don't have a lot of hardship in my life, but I always insist that where are we right here? We're in the perfect world, right? This is it. Like, this is the gutter right here is the perfect world. And like, you got to remember that it is, and not be comparing it to some idea, someplace that you're not. It's that it would be better over there. Terrence McKenna said that's the tinny voice of true madness when you're like, it'd be better over there.
Nothing is wrong.
It'd be better over on the couch. No, it'd be better in the kitchen. It's better right where you are, bitch. Like, sit there.
Yeah, let's get into nothing to fix. Just there's nothing to fix. You just gave a talk today at the Entheo Fest in what is called the Diag, which is the law right in front of the law building of University of Michigan in Ann Arbor.
That the psychedelic renaissance needs to honor the trickster, and he said come out and talk about that at Entheo Fest and as an excuse to hang out and see you and see y'all.
Honor the trickster. Can you articulate what the fuck that means?
I've been trying. I feel like how the playa like to do you. Like I tell Burning Man, I didn't talk about it at this one, but like what is the trickster? It's sort of like it's like the playa. It has a sense of humor, but it can play with you rough, right?
The playa being the
playa
dust
of
the stuff. I need to define
not just
that.
The stuff,
My
but
mom
like
is listening.
the place, the experience, like the sort of built up energy of Burning Man. Like playa provides, right? You don't mean that dust provides, but like it sure do. It definitely do. But like the playa will give you what you need, but what you need ain't necessarily what you want, and it will work miracles, and you can count on it to break down the calcified structures of the ego that may have built up, but you can't trust it exactly. You think you're the playa's darling, and it always gives you exactly what and it's like, oh no, but I trust. No, you don't never trust it, right? Because the playa say fuck you burn. The playa say
the mushrooms say fuck your trip.
Playa say ha right? And there's a little ha in it, and like those little pranks that'll play on you where you're taking psychedelics, and it's got a sense of humor, that it turns things around on you. And I feel like there's a way in which the psychedelic renaissance, there's this medicalized model that's gotten built up, and it's like they don't know. Like there's entire cohort of psychedelic therapists, newly minted psychedelic therapists that got their
that's 37 today.
They've got their certificate during COVID. And like I said, they paid their fees, but I don't know if they paid their dues, and they don't know necessarily what they're working with. They don't know that the little medical tent that they're working in is floating on top of the ocean, the bottoms of which we have not plumbed. And you know, they don't want to make a lot of noise about this thing because, you know, the Tea Fairie can't talk in maps anymore. Saying,
Maps.
Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies.
Yeah.
Right. You know, they've done the trials to make MDMA is about to be legalized as a therapeutic modality and et cetera. And it took hundreds of people, you know, thousands of hours. No, exactly. No, and I salute the head of it. And it took hundreds of people, thousands of hours, cost millions of dollars. They had to jump through every single hoop. They had, they had to do a double-blind study, right? Everybody know who got the drugs. But you had to do all of the things, and they did all of the things. And part of all of the things was they had to raise a bunch of money, and there was a huge PR blitz, and there was so much positive press, and it worked. There's so much positive press, and everybody knows that, what's a little asterisk, you know, in the presence of a licensed and experienced therapist in conjunction with other therapeutic modalities, et cetera, psychedelics, you know, you can say that psychedelics are good if you make sure you say that part, right?
Yeah.
But you know, it's like you need a shaman for some things. Some people think, and some people think you don't. Well, now it's like, well,
I think some people do,
and you need a
therapist
therapist for some, you know, for something. Well, okay, with a therapist, you could do that thing, you know, and that somehow cleans it. It whitewashes it in a way that but there's people who don't know that how tricksy it can be. Like they've only heard that this is good for PTSD and autism and end of life anxiety and depression, and it's true. It's so true. Like I said, like Neuralink's going to be good for paraplegic people, you know, right? Yes, and so I knelt down in front of Rick Doblin at a panel there, and I said I thanked him for his service. He is a human hero. That's the guy who made the map studies happen. I said, we're going to have to get telepathic insensitivity syndrome put into the DSM so that we can treat it, because there are people who are suffering from this. You know, there's people who are suffering from chronic hyperspatial occlusion. And there's a fully treatable form of time blindness that causes you to experience life as a sequence of causally connected moments, or like isolated ego syndrome. All of it treatable, right? What are we going to have to do? Because it's only for solving a problem. So you get this idea that psychedelics are a cure for a problem. And that's not a framing that I think it's an okay framing. I just don't think it's the only framing or the only good framing. And I think the other ones need to be remembered. I'm actually in favor of recreational psychedelic use, because I think recreating yourself is a pretty valid thing to do. But you're not allowed to say that anymore because there's so much funding coming in, and we don't want to rock the boat right now. Shut up about the, you know, herd of buck-ass naked woolly mammoths in the middle of the conference room. Because, like, we're not talking about no entities, I'm talking about no time travel. You ain't gonna talk about any weird shit. You ain't gonna talk about any loopy shit. You ain't gonna talk about the kind of things that go wrong. Because I worked 30 shows of psychedelic emergency. The year before COVID, I worked every weekend from April to Burning Man. And, like, the kind of stuff I see, a well-designed study is not going to create people. You have to be a Nazi scientist, you know, to create the kind of things that I would see. But I have seen things that people who just do, you know, proper psychedelic research have never seen. And it's not... you know, it's more complex than that. It is good for all of those things. Yes, and right.
Yeah. Yes. Well, I think as you're saying that now, and I mulled this over a bunch, and very familiar with the conversation, the debate between legalization and decriminalization, because legalization would bring not only medicalization, but monetization, financialization, corporatization, as where decriminalization would just allow for both those who have been doing this for literally millennium to continue and do so without fear.
Well,
and I think that's incredibly important. And that, but I get both sides of that. But generally, I'm more one who I don't know the answer. I just know that there's a lot of different fixings for a lot of different people and a lot of different problems. And there's also
be amazing for people. It's gonna be amazing. You know, a lot of it's gonna be amazing.
For sure. And I totally get what you're saying about honoring the trickster. I mean, sometimes
but all this shit's gonna happen. All this shit's
everything's gonna happen.
All the things gonna happen. Like, you don't think there's gonna be scandals? How many of these new therapists are their transference potential? They are not prepared for, like, you know, and like, oh, I know you're not supposed to sleep with the clients, and of course that's not applying to me, though. This situation is different. Of course it is, and of course it doesn't. But
you're trying to suggest that there are ayahuasca shamans who aren't entirely
the therapists are gonna. I mean,
pure?
Oh God, no, never. No, of course, all the shamans of the Amazon are one, and they wouldn't throw little darts at each other or fill you up or steal your wallet.
Well, what about Jeff in Sussex, Indiana? He's been hosting ceremony for the last 5 years.
Legitimate,
you're saying that he has desires and an ego? No.
I'm saying that so many people, all the things that can happen, the novel psychedelics, they're pouring tons of money at developing novel psychedelics, and I'm for it. And I have friends who working on them, and some of them might come up with one that's amazing in a therapeutic context at a certain dosage. But if it gets out onto the street, and it will, because you have to publish the patent.
You have to say what it does, what it fixes. Everything has to be
publish
fixing
the
a problem.
synthesis, how to do it in the patent. So if it's interesting, the street finds its own uses for things. What happens if you take it every other day at higher dosages? It might be addictive or deleterious, or make you see through time. And we just don't know this. And I'm not saying we shouldn't do it. We should do it. We just have to understand that's how trickster always works, because an evolutionary force, and evolution happens by making a whole bunch of possibilities and then breaking down most of them. Most of them don't work. Right? Whenever there's when evolution happens, like the meteor comes and suddenly there's room for a lot of things to happen. And, nature tries everything, and like 1% of those things work. Right? And that's what we're going to do. And we're going to break eggs. And I'm not saying we shouldn't break eggs. I'm saying we need to recognize that they're going to be broken and build it into our understanding of what's happening, and not be like, oh, this is fine. This is safe. Nothing to see here. We're going to have any problems. We're going to have problems, and we're going to evolve. And that's awesome. And we just have to own that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think that you definitely should be able to exist and exactly as you do, and do your thing and contribute what you contribute to reality musical the festival.
Well,
I also think that Rick Doblin and friends are absolutely doing a thing, and with with veterans and with making it so that because one day I want these things to seem palatable to like my parents, and that's going to require that it being like, oh, you take this for this, and a person in a white coat prescribed it to you. So like I also want the tribe of one Kalindi E to be able to do exactly what they do, and for all indigenous practitioners of doing things the old way to be able to do precisely what they do. And also, I get entirely where you're saying that everything having to be framed as fixing a problem is a problem.
That's a problem, and the important. And I'm a revolutionary, not an incrementalist, but I understand that incremental progress, like we had psychedelic exceptionalism, people say, well, you're saying psychedelics, why the same fucking
cocaine is a plant medicine by definition.
Wrong, but you know what I'm talking about. If you had to choose amongst these drugs for your sister to try, right? Nevertheless, they do have a point, and nevertheless, again, people say, shut up, because like we don't want to rock the boat right now. We're making so much progress, and it's a part of the same thing. And I see both sides. I think the debates are important. I think the dialectic is important. I think finding the balance between these positions. Everybody should keep saying the part that they believe. The other side ain't wrong. The other side ain't wrong. They got a point. I don't even.
There are some sides that are a bit
maybe,
but I think having a problem with the corporatization
is
like that's pretty understandable. Right. But also,
will they do some good? They will.
When there's psilocybin gummies at a place that looks like an iPhone store, there are some individuals who will benefit from that. Who will actually only approach the precipice of that experience if it is provided for them in that way. And some people say like, no, that's just I don't know. I ain't a purist. I ain't really in anything. Yes. I think that like yourself and several others who are doing things that those who got to keep it squeaky clean and say like, this is for PTSD, for veterans.
Then I got on the list. But if you're a therapist, if you're researcher,
I think they get it though. I think they get it. They get the relationship between
oh, they do. Both. They do. And in private, they'll tell you. And in fact, they code switch. If they go over to the ayahuasca track at the conference, they talk about entities. They'll talk about ayahuasca a different way. Yeah. And then when we come over here to the research side for MDMA and psilocybin or whatever, we don't talk about that.
Yeah. Well, the trickster is that.
We're making drugs boring again over here. The
trickster is an archetype. Is could be called a deity. Could be called, or it could also. Didn't you say
the mystical experience research people actually Roland Griffiths, and they actually do talk about pretty magical stuff. But
they can also turn it around and say that this is just an aspect of your own psyche communicating to you in a way you understand.
Well, it might be. I mean, it's sure hard to tell.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I think reality is. I love having
hypothesis, I guess, because we know we're here, so
that code switchiness though I call it there's code switching and there's mode switching. I can go into a different mode where it's like, all right, I am in a room full of people who are absolutely scientific materialists. I not only am I going to speak to them in that way. Even though I might not know the jargon, but I'm able to talk. Mm-hmm. I'm able to talk and both think and feel. I am living in a material world, and I'm a material turtle. And it is turtles all the way down. But this isn't this. I am not now in company. what do you say? I'm not in something company when you're not in mixed company.
When you're at mixed company, up.
When you're and then but the mixed company thing, which you experience very much in Theo Fest, where it's like, okay, the last person to take the microphone is talking about the legal aspects and then the next so you have a Washita County prosecutor who that's super awesome. After they decriminalized in Washita County, didn't he like come out and say like, look, for several years we have not been going after anybody for psychedelics.
Oh yeah. They basically admitted what a lot of us suspected is that they were just this had already been deprioritized. They realized they had bigger fish to fry, bigger problems, and that by arresting people for this, they were just creating more problems in the first place.
I didn't know what you'd accomplished in Ann Arbor. Can you go over real quick what Ann Arbor is?
Oh yeah,
because I didn't. I didn't know Ann Arbor existed. And that's offensive, but I did not know because I'm a West Coast kid, and I did. There's this pocket of awesome right here.
Yeah. Well, there's really the best blog to read up on Ann Arbor. It's called AnnArborIsOverrated.com, and it absolutely fucking is. But there's some really great things about it. There's over, I think, 300 parks in the city, it's incredible. Any night in the summertime, you're walking around, you'll probably run into 2 or 3 people on mushrooms, and they'll probably want to chat with you. And
but at Theo Fest, they were setting up a cart.
Oh, it's fabulous. It's
Openly.
fabulous.
I mean, what's the legal situation?
So basically, with the legal situation, we decriminalized cannabis in 1968, I believe, from John Sinclair's little run-in with the law, and then 68. I think it was 68. And the Beatles came to their rescue, wrote some songs about him, had a big protest, and then we made it basically a $5 fine if you got caught with weed, like a traffic ticket.
When Timothy Slater is still going to jail for he had a couple of chuffs on top of the
so we had we did that.
Keezy.
We did that way back when. But then, about two years ago, we decriminalized psychedelics as well, which moved them to the bottom of the officially moved them to the bottom of the priority list for police to go after. Following that, our prosecutor, newly elected prosecutor Eli Savitt, wrote a memo basically saying he was so in support of this that he was going to extend the protections to the entire. Yeah, any natural entheogens, you can feel pretty safe here growing a few mushrooms and hand them out to your neighbors and friends.
Make plants legal is good. I definitely, have a thing about people only take natural drugs, etc. Because I would much rather take the LSD than forget deter again.
It's a wedge, it's a wedge to get
incremental, but great, we can get that one. So I guess I have to go on an airplane. What's happening to me is that I'm just barely making this is because you're writing about the trickster. And like, if you just keep moving, you'll barely make your plane. But apparently we ain't too far from that time.
I think it is definitely that time to wrap.
I'm so glad we finally got to do this. Now, we all did this one time during the pandemic and we got so silly. We just talked for 3 hours and we were so spastic and manic that the Faerie was.
This was pretty that too. And that's all right.
That's all right.
No, I think we did a whole lot.
The same place.
We did a whole lot worse this time. I think we should all be ashamed of ourselves.
Yeah, we should only think about what sucked about it. That's a lesson from Burning Man.
Precisely, yeah. I'm so grateful to have been in your company, to have met you in person. And I also know we did not meet in the desert. We were just at Burning Man for the 7 days.
That was the
we
future.
Never even popped by. And that is, but with all the, I'm so grateful for precisely the burn that I had, precisely the reality that I'm having, precisely the reality of the musical festival that is unfolding. This is happening. And we're gonna see what happens, and maybe we'll nudge things in some special ways using our
next year gonna be better.
I was talking about reality now.
Oh yeah, well, next reality gonna be better.
Time's doing a thing. There's a whole stuff unfolding. The psychedelic renaissance be happening. How it's going to unfold is up to precisely all of us. And I think there's a lot of different aspects and a lot of different and it seems like everybody's doing their part. And yeah,
they're doing their best.
Future's going to be weird and magical. Thank you so, and I will let you catch your flight. And thanks to the Emerald Temple for hosting us.
Yes.
For the recording, filming podcast. Happy reality. Love you all.
Yep. Bye. Thank you, sir. That was lovely.
That was amazing. Whatever.
Good. I have to get you this.